I am heading to the Meadows. There's there's my buddy Hunter Myers. He's getting a ride to the Meadows today. What, you hit a deer, right?
Yeah, we hit a deer, old Bambi.
Yeah, he hit a deer. Poor Hunter. I'll tell you what, he spotted every cop and every speed trap on the way here, but somehow missed a giant deer in his vision the other night.
It was dark.
It's dark, yeah. We're going to have to get you some of them infrared, the goggles,
right.
night vision. So Hunter smashed his car up and, what's this guy? Yeah, there we go. And needed a ride to the Meadows. For those of you wondering, I had a lot of people, in fact, 2 people in general, ask me about Easy Pass and why I didn't have one. I didn't know how to get one. I was so mad yesterday. Do you know how you get one? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I get them offline. Or you go.
Just go into any of the rest areas, and there's a giant vending machine with Easy Pass things in there. For 2 years, I've been going through paying all this money, paying all the added fees and whatnot. Right. All I had to do was go to a vending machine. I was distraught. Distraught is the word after seeing how easy it was to get one.
Or you go Giant Eagle and.
I know. It's easy to get them now. I'm still a little upset. It's still fresh. It's too early. So Hunter, I know he's unshaven, so you're going to say to yourself, "Oh my God, he must have woke up early and didn't have time to shave." No, this is how he rolls.
Yeah, my little Amish look.
Yeah, you get the little. Now you're Amish on the bottom, but shortcut on the top.
Yeah.
You can't see. You got a bowl cut here?
No
bowl cut.
I'm letting it grow out so I can get that far.
Okay. Yep. So we're headed to Pennsylvania. He called and wanted to ride. I said, no problem. I'm going that way. Even talked him into training You Got a Belief with me this morning. Almost got you late, actually.
That's all right.
Fine. I'm going to sleep okay either way, but I'm just saying I almost got you late. So Hunter came in, trained You Got a Belief with me. Trained good. I had one to skip a few. She trained good in preparation for the grassroots this coming Tuesday in Scioto for the fillies. I don't know where the colts are.
Yeah.
You Got to Believe was supposed to race at Cortland yesterday, but it was rained out. Didn't get to go. That'll happen. See, a lot of these fairs, they only race there once a year, so it's not like they dump a pile of stone dust on the track. Or so what happens is when it rains hard, they just simply cancel. Now, do they make those up?
Cortland, they won't.
But I mean,
some fairs, if they have enough days, they'll try to squeeze them in. But
I mean, like Cortland would do that. Is there an option for another fair to pick up that race day? I know that Amy was trying to get it to Northfield last night. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Once
that's too.
Some
bad.
of them have like days where they can make up, but other tracks don't.
That's too bad. Anyway, so Cortland was a washout. What we did find was a splint on Granite Hill, and a couple of horses were a little sick in the barn yesterday. Granite Hill was sick, so I spoke to Jason. I'm like, listen, why don't we just turn him out? This is a big colt. Here's a colt that trained down. The only thing he's missing is speed. He's slow, but he's decently bred. He's a big giant colt, and he's the type of horse where he'll go up. I guess the easiest way to put it, he's such a big colt. The Amish, even if we were to sell him the Amish don't want 2-year-olds.
Right.
So by waiting until he's 3 and letting him grow up, his value will go up somewhat regardless. But I believe and hope that as he fills into that, this is a giant 2-year-old trotting colt. Raced him at Marion. This is a big colt. So the fact that he got around the track, did his work best he could, was impressive enough. We tried to race him in the grassroots the other night, the Buckeye. He finished 8th, trotted in 2-2. Fastest time he's ever trotted in his life. But he is a big colt, so we're going to turn him out, let him fill up, and hopefully his pedigree and his sheer work ethic will bubble through, and we'll have a good 3-year-old trotter. If not, his value will go up marginally, and we'll hopefully get decent money for him at 3 regardless. So that's the plan with Granite Hill. He's all done for the season. Mama Knows Best was in here today. She also coughing, has the grassroots next week, so we can't chance and say,
right.
She'll be all right. Can't do that. So we scratched her today out of the Meadows. She'll race in the Buckeye next week sometime. So hopefully by scratching her today, by Thursday or Friday, she's close to 100% again, and we can train her a hard mile on Saturday and tighten her up for next week. So that's Mama Knows Best. We had a lot of people asking about the colts on Monday. Hey, Anthony, I know you talk about taking horses back. Took all 3. All 3 of them back on Monday evening. All 3 of them off the gate. I think that's worth noting.
That's good.
It's worth noting.
Mark that down.
You should.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the whiteboard in the
board.
driver's room at Northfield. Anthony, 3 horses in a row took back. So took back Confederate Cruiser. You know, it's easy for me sitting behind the horse to say, I thought he could have been a little better, but then you look at the line, he paced his last 3 quarters in 125 and 3 at Northfield Park. 2-year-old pacing colt. You can't really ask for much more than that, even though in my heart when I drove him I felt he could have done a little more. Looking at the line, maybe my expectations were set a little bit high for that colt. I thought he raced rather well. Went out with the Fear of the Dragon colt. Now, he comes by it naturally. You know, you have Dragon again, then into Fear of the Dragon. They're all a little moody, sulky.
Very.
And I took him off the gate, and I knew probably what would happen when I do that. Night-night, sleepy time. Yeah. So I chased and chased and chased for him to keep up and do his work. Now, I let him up, let him rock, put him in the race. Just for your reference, he was second in 2-2 in Marion, which was a massive mile. The horse that won that race won the Sire Stake race the other night. It's a gentleman's name that drove the horse. I can't remember. Anyway, it was like the 11th race. He won the Sire Stake in 55. That's the horse that beat us in Marion. So it wasn't like, I told you guys after that race, that horse that beat us, I don't know what it is, but he's no slouch. And he raced very, very good. So the Dragon colt, just not taking him back to last. Now, that's no-go for him. But I wasn't going to butcher him either, leaving out just assuming he'd be okay. So we got what we were given. And then pretty much a lot of the same for Procrastinator. Take him back. There's a horse that won his qualifiers on the front end and did his work best on the front end. You know, to take him back to last and they go in 54 in front of him, you do the math.
Yeah.
So he paced 56 and 4. Again, raced well, 28 seconds on the end of it. When I get off the bike, I felt they could have done more, but at the same time, what are you going to do? You draw the 8-hole, you take them back to last. That's what's going to happen. So if nothing else, they got good training miles. They all come out of the race fine. So we'll go back at them again in the near future. I think we got some fairs coming up for these guys. I think there's a gap to the 2-year-old pacing Buckeye division next. I want to get a horse like Procrastinator, especially. He touches his inside knee a little bit. I want to get him out to Scioto and off Northfield Park. He's never been on anything but a half-mile track in his life. I think he's going to fall in love with the surface at Scioto real easy. So those 3 colts, I think we were 4th, 6th, and 7th. There's not much you can do. Just that's the hand we had to play. Then the next day, Cortland was rained out, so we had nothing to do in the U.S. I didn't anyway. I took 2 horses down to Tim, the truck and trailer, and I got to sit down and watch our fillies race. Now, we knew Rosie's Masterpiece was short. What we didn't know is she was sick. She's scoped sick, so the 2 horses that scoped a little sick were Arch's Rainbow and Rosie's Masterpiece. You guys have heard me talk about it. You know exactly what was coming. I sent the message out last night. Both those horses are done for the next few weeks. And a horse like Rosie's Masterpiece, who's getting bigger seemingly by the day, might be a little longer than 3 weeks, but definitely 3 weeks to let them get through this heat and the bulk of the allergy season, and then we'll start them back up in August. Arch's Rainbow, same thing. Filly raced okay. First lifetime start, 2 minutes. Last half, 59, I think. Last quarter, 30 seconds. Good mile for her. But again, scoper, lots of mucus, allergy stuff in there. We're going to give her some time off also. Now, the biggest question of the night was Mischievous. We've been calling her the wrong name for forever. We called her Mischievous Rose.
Yeah.
I needed to buy a vowel for it to be Mischievous Rose. It was Mischievous Rose. Mischievous Rose looked absolutely sensational last night. Won the grassroots, first ever lifetime start. Mario got away 4th, and you guys know, we told Mario, asked him very politely, you know, do not expose these fillies, right? The 2 fillies that were in early were coming off qualifiers. We were doing our best to treat their allergies, make sure they were healthy. Don't expose them. And he did a great job. Arch's Rainbow, he drove her as hard as he could, but conservatively, she did what she could, and we knew after the race, upon scoping her, that she wasn't ready to go. Filly's not ready to go, so we won't. But Mischievous Rose, quite a different story. Her last quarter last night was 27-2, her first lifetime start, a win at 58 flat, and she was flying on the end of it. She looked great. You know, James has always said this was our best filly. Now, Grace has got some competition But Mischievous Rose looked absolutely sensational last night. Couldn't be happier for Haley Moore, the breeder. She's had horses with us in the past, and man, really, really happy for the owners of Mischievous Rose. Now, today's a big day for us. My Jazz, many of you know the trials and tribulations we've gone through over the last few months trying to get a handle on the actual. So this, My Jazz, I don't know if you remember from last year. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Nice trotting filly. She made $117,000 and was a really nice 2-year-old trotting filly. We qualified her in 58 back at the end of March or April when I first moved over here. And what happened is she jumped on her foot. Yeah, you think in a couple of weeks it'd be fine, no big deal. She just never was right. We put flip-flops on her and said, maybe your foot's a little sore. She just progressively got worse, little by little by little, to the point where we had to stop with her. And we had the blacksmith come in and pare it out, clean it up best he could. This has gone on over a month. This filly hasn't raced since April or May. So, month, 2 months, can't get her right. Finally, Andy Betts, who is the pool there, right?
Yep.
Comes over and he's talking about how his brothers, Tim and Scott, do footwork on horses, patchwork. So I don't really know anybody. This isn't an easy thing. It's one thing to say, hey, I can build a fence. It's another thing to say, I can build you a house.
Right.
And it's not that our blacksmiths or any of the blacksmiths we knew over here were good enough. I just don't know. I think this was a very specific and very unique problem. So we sent My Jazz all the way to the Meadows and had Scott and Tim Betts look at her. They paired her foot out. They said not 1, but 2, but 3 foot separations inside that wall of her foot. 3 of them. Cleaned them all up, dried them up, casted her foot. Now, I trained her in Pennsylvania at the Meadows one day and said, we put her into qualified, I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago, warmed her up. Luke warmed her up and said, I don't think she's sound enough to go. So we kept working on it. We didn't go with her, kept working on her foot, working on her foot, working on her foot. Tim Betts came over, took the cast off, said, gee, she looks pretty good. And the blacksmith came, put shoes on her, sound as $1. First time since April, May. So she's qualifying today. Now I can't go with her. I'm here at the Meadows with Hunter and everyone else racing. And I think Luke's probably going to qualify her, I guess. But so happy to see My Jazz back in action and back at 100%. Now you guys are seeing, doesn't matter whether it's a cracked bone or a torn suspensory or an issue of any kind, sometimes even the most remedial issues cause serious problems. And that was quite an ordeal to get this filly back to 100%. So very, very happy about that. We have Yes back. Did you ever drive Yes for us?
No.
So we have Yes back. He's schooled the other day in 55 or 56. He has to start in the maiden. I'd love to start in the maiden. In the Open at Northfield this coming Sunday. Him and Stonebridge Simba. So a lot going on. The colts, as I said, we got Monday. The Mischievous Rose looked incredible yesterday. The other horses, so-so. We got a lot going on today. Mama Knows Best is scratched. We get some qualifiers, some schoolers. Bomb Hugger is going to train tomorrow in her preparation for next Wednesday's sire stake at Batavia. Going to Batavia next Wednesday. And then shortly thereafter, we have more stake races in Ohio. Jazzy Judy coming up on the 29th. She races today at Ocean Downs in a stake race. I called somebody. I felt so stupid yesterday. I had to call a lady and say, listen, we had to get licensed because Ocean Downs, she's in Delaware.
Right.
Ocean Downs isn't in Delaware. Did you know that? It's in Maryland. So we have to get all our licensing done for Maryland today to race the filly. So, anyway, a decent start to the week. Obviously, Mischievous Rose was a big uplifting win, especially coming off the so-so races on Monday, and we got some fairs coming up. Hunter loves the fairs.
Love them.
Deep fried Oreos. Do you go to any of the fairs? You went to Circleville, didn't you?
Circleville was my first one. I was going to go to Cortland. They canceled.
You were supposed to be at Cortland?
All day.
Really?
I was excited because I was going to have a little setup.
You set up, yeah.
I was going to have a setup.
What about the deep fried Oreos?
Never had. I'm like fried cheese.
Fried cheese is okay, but I mean, it's not. You're talking about deep fried Oreos. You know what I had at the last fair? Deep fried Twinkie. That right there. I did. That it sounds It sounds like a heart attack in a rapper, and it is, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. What about Grace? We can't get Grace to the Ferris, though. I know Grace.
You need to get some bourbon chicken.
I had the bourbon chicken. I had it. No,
Okay.
hold on. Let me just set the record straight here, bud. All right, Kurt Sugg told me the bourbon chicken at the first fair. What was the first fair? Marion was the best. Now, for somebody to say it was the best, you would have to be a homeless person. It wasn't the best. The meal I had last night at a restaurant was far better than the bourbon chicken, but it's okay. I mean, as far as, hey, what is there to eat at the carnival? Oh yeah, it's top shelf.
Right.
But if we're talking about just edible food, come on now. Just 7.
Are good too.
The what?
Stromboli.
I was wondering about those. Are they good?
Yeah, they're good too.
I might have to try. I might have to try Stromboli.
But you can't go wrong with good old fashioned fair fries.
No, they're the best.
Salt,
the guy, he cooks them and gives you the big bucket of them.
Yes.
Oh, you can't go wrong. We don't have those in Canada. Just so you know, for those of you in Canada, I don't ever remember going to the exhibition and getting a bucket of fries. You know, and they're a bucket. It's like a sandcastle bucket of fries.
It is.
It is.
Go to your local store.
Yeah,
Go get you a
sandcastle bucket of fries. It was great. I loved it. So I love the fairs. Hunter and I were talking about, going to the fairs, and I like going to the fairs. Yeah, they're a little dangerous. You get the odd guy that probably slipped over the suit over the overalls, and you know what I mean? You probably get that odd guy out there, the guy that maybe you shouldn't have been on the track, but it's not like I'm the safest person in the world either. But yeah, I like the fairs because they're fun. What do you do? Now, I never got to ask you. We talked about a couple of guys off camera. What do you like to do when you're not driving? Because this is the one thing I talked about, Hunter. The culture in Ohio, but in the States, is totally different than Canada. So just so you guys know, we get a little more heated in Canada after races, where, say if Hunter parked somebody after a race, or in a race, they just wouldn't talk for a little while. And we wouldn't get that. Rarely I've seen anybody get heated at the Northfield Drivers' Room.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
It's a lot of joking around. I mean, there is, but it's by the end of the next race.
They get over it.
Yeah,
see, it's different in Ontario. I think because a lot of us go places together. Like, a lot of us will go to the bar together or go places together. We play cards in between races. No cards ever anywhere in the U.S. I've ever seen in between races.
Right.
But I think it's just a little different culture, where people in Canada, the drivers, feel even more insulted if they get parked or something. Where here, it's, hey man, it's just business. And that's that. Which is good and bad in a sense. But I don't know what any of the drivers do outside. I can tell you what all the drivers in Ontario do, for the most part, whether they go to hockey games, baseball games, or go to, tractor pulls or whatever they do.
Right.
I know what a lot of those guys do, but I don't know what anybody does over here. And it's so weird. It's a different mentality. It's almost like after the races, you punch the clock. Hey, this reference a little old for you, but did you ever see, not Tiny Toons, but did you ever see the cartoon with the sheepdog and the coyote, Ralph and Sam? No, you never saw it? So the premise of the whole cartoon was, the whole work day was, I believe, Sam was the coyote trying to eat the sheep.
Right.
And Ralph was the sheepdog beating the piss out of him. And that was the whole cartoon. And at the end of the day, it'd be, see you later, Ralph. See you later, Sam. And it's kind of like that. You know, you park somebody, it's like, see you later, Hunter. And, you head out. It's different, but odd. So what do you do? What do you do when you're not driving?
Well, if I have a day where I'm not driving, either I'm sitting at my apartment or I do like to go home.
Say you had a week off. What do you do?
If I got a week off, I'm probably going to go down home and...
Where's down home?
South of Columbus.
You live south of Columbus, really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
My parents...
I thought you were from up here.
No, my parents' house is about 20 minutes south of Scioto.
So how did you end up at Northfield Park? Is this just where you got your start and that was that?
No, yeah, I mean, I got started like at Scioto and stuff like that. And then I went to Miami Valley and Dayton.
Tough to get in out of the way.
Well, but the problem was, after, when winter came, all the Hoosier Port guys came.
See, you guys got to understand the politics of racing and how different it is here. When I grew up, same thing. I was an English kid living in Montreal, right? So there was no, hey, why don't we use the English kid? to
Right.
drive them. Mark got some drives because he worked for Mike, but I got one that falls down or kicks or pisses on you in the race. Hey, could you drive it for me? That's what I got.
That's how you get started out.
Exactly.
That's like initiation.
And see, you're 100% right, and that's what some of the younger guys. I joke with James about it because really James got to start driving horses that could win. But when I started driving, it was driving horses that could not win.
Yeah.
And then I went from Montreal, and make no mistake, I'm not taking anything away from James. James is an incredibly talented driver. It's just a different way to go. Scott Aaron was the same. He got to start, but he got to start on horses that had a shot.
Right.
Because of the people you know, right? It's all about your clients, your clientele, and the people you know, and who will list you on horses. Because when you're a kid, you have to learn how to drive too, right? You can't go out and drive like Brett Miller and those guys. You have to learn how to do things right and wrong in a race. And then when you do them wrong, you have to learn from those mistakes. But people don't want to be your school lessons either. So it's tough to have people list you on horses, quality horses. Now it's different in Ohio, a little bit different because you guys got the fair system also where
Right.
people list you. Your fair system is like where I got to start driving. I started driving at a little track called Quinty Exhibition Raceway, a little death trap in Belleville where I may have been the only guy in 2 years not to break a bone. You know, it was a dangerous place, but at the same time, it like you said, you got to put your time in.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to have drives there and very fortunate to get a shot there. But when you go to a track, it'd be like you growing up in New Jersey and thinking you were going to get your start at the Meadowlands. Don't work that way.
Right.
You got to put your time in. And, you know, I assume how did you end up at Northfield Park?
Just like I said, after the one winter, Dad's like, I'm gonna be putting horses in Northfield. So pretty much, Dad got me started.
Everybody needs help.
He put one horse or two horses of his in, and then the other guys were like, oh, you coming up here? Then like I said,
That's how it starts.
I'd
right?
have 2 drives maybe to one day, then maybe 4 the next. Or just it was a process, but now it's old.
That's right. And I mean, this is what people have to understand is that it's hard. You pick up the program go ahead, pick up the program at any racetrack. There's 3 or 4 guys that get 90% of the money, 90% of the good drives, 90% of the wins, right? That's just the way it is. And to be that 5th to 15th guy, you're always trying to climb the ladder, right? And look for your opportunity. And sometimes it doesn't present itself for quite a long time. And sometimes you have to make a move, like coming to Northfield Park. Now, Northfield Park led you to the Meadows, which is also a good opportunity for you there. But it gets you exposure. And we talked about, I talked to Hunter about, how my driving career came along and what it was like for me. So you're 23, you were 13 when I was driving all those races. 12 and 13 when I was driving all those races in Ontario. I drove in the big race at Northfield Park against Foiled again, probably in 2013, 2012.
Yeah.
But it's all about timing too, right?
Yep.
And the tough part of this game is getting smashed up and getting back on your feet. You got in a bad wreck last year, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I mean, you're not that good looking to begin with, so nobody really noticed. But
I got to protect the face.
yeah, that's me. The beard protected.
Yeah. Well, I got covered with scars too.
Yeah.
From stitches, my chin.
Only thing I ever got hurt, and the only thing in 25,000 drives and 20 years of racing, the only bone I ever broke in my life was in a qualifier last year, 2 years ago. I snapped my wrist off, and I had 6 pins in my wrist. Yeah, that's the only thing. I had pins. I have the video. The guy, he just came in and pulled them out. And I'm telling you what, it's the weirdest thing because when my brother, did you break your wrist when you went down?
No, the only thing I've broken and I can race was just my jaw. I fractured the jaw.
Yeah, Mark fractured his jaw too. I mean, I never wanted to listen to him talk anyway, so I didn't care. I mean, quietly, I'm like, oh, thank God he fractured his jaw.
No, I got lucky though, because they said, like I said, the fractures of how it happened on both sides, which is crazy, was too high. And if they was going to, like, say, put a screw,
oh really?
there was that nerve that ran along.
Oh
and
really?
We hit that nerve. You're gonna have a paralyzed jaw.
Oh wow.
So they wanted to not wire me shut. They wanted to put
pins in it.
No rubber, like
bands.
Hard bands. And I was like, well, how much? Like maybe 5 months or so.
5 months.
They're wearing it, but it's like you don't have to wear it all the time. Just more or less when you're like going to bed or something like that, to more or less help keeping in line. Like I do, it's a little off. Like if I bite or something like that,
Yeah.
it's a little off. Like I think if you bite down, it goes to the left a little bit. Whatever, I don't
Yeah.
care. I mean,
Well, at least you can chew.
yeah, I said whatever. But for a while, I couldn't. I was eating applesauce and mashed potatoes.
Wow.
That wasn't cool. That sucked. Everybody be going out to eat and having nice steak dinners and big juicy cheeseburgers. I'm over here eating tofu.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, but no, it's all good now.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. So I didn't realize that's the only thing you broke was your jaw.
Racing wise, yeah.
Wow. What else? You're a dirt bike guy, probably, are you?
Nah, I mean, I got Razor and stuff. Side by side. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, back when I was 17, I broke my back.
How'd you do that?
I was in a vehicle crash.
Oh wow.
No, I was coming home late and it was about 15 minutes from home and I fell asleep and hit a culvert.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
you should have got one of those Teslas that can drive itself.
Well, back then, old Teslas was around.
I know. Yeah, it's too bad. So yeah. Well, that's all right. Any permanent damage from your back being broke?
I had 2 rods and 8 pins in my back, or 8 screws.
Did they stay in, or did they take?
No,
them?
I took them out the following year. After a year being in, I had to remove because I said, well, because of me being so young, I didn't know how much I was still going to grow.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had 4 vertebrae
Fused.
fused together.
So what does that mean for, like, what did the doctors tell you about prognosis and whatnot? Like, as far as your back goes, so I know a guy that broke his back and they said, listen, you can't ever drive horse again, or you might die. But that was an older gentleman and at Belleville at the graveyard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, it was. I just had 2 fractures. One was a 50% burst fracture, and then the other one was like a compression fracture.
And so they healed and they said they'd be all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
that's
they said I could leave the rods in, or I can have them removed. And I just went with the thing of having them removed. So, I mean,
You
they
could've been
said
Superman though with rods in your back. I mean,
yeah, but then when you go into security,
you just tell them I got rods in my back.
dinged all the time.
You know,
No,
I mean,
it's all good. Like once they said it was all healed up, and like I said, I went back for my checkups and everything.
no
I was like,
nerve
oh,
damage or anything. No? Oh, that's good. You're lucky. Well, that's good. So, I wanted you guys to meet Hunter. Obviously, we don't get to talk to a lot of the people that drive some of our horses. He drives a lot of our horses in the meadows and sometimes at Northfield Park when he can. And you never get to put a face to the name, so I want to make sure that you guys. He was here. I don't know when he's going to hit another deer, so I don't know when he's going to need.
None soon. That was too much.
I don't know. I know I've been worried my low tire light come on my car. The last time that happened was last year, went flat. I think we got a slow leak. I don't know the last time, the next time we'll ever get to talk to Hunter this way. So I figured I would let you know. This is Hunter Myers. He drives some of our horses. He does a very good job. How old did you say you were?
23.
23. 21 years. I could be your dad. So, hey. So, Hunter does a good job in Northfield Park. He does a good job in Ohio. But it's also important to let everybody know how difficult it is to be a driver, right? To be a horse driver. The politics that goes into it. And to be honest, the gut-wrenching feeling sometimes, it always bothered me when I was listed on a horse and I looked the next week and I'm not listed on the horse again. That hurts. But at the same time, you got to just kind of shut your mouth, bite your lip, and say, hey, man, I always learned that, you know what, they might take you off, but you'll probably get the drive back again at some point. And that more times than not, that's exactly what happened. Looks like it rained over here, right?
Yeah, I looked at radar. It was a little rain. Well, it should be good. You're coming. It ain't gonna rain.
That's right. Good clean living.
That's right.
It's good clean living. So I wanted to just let you guys know how difficult it was. You heard Hunter talking about where he grew up, southern Ohio, how difficult it is down there. And this is the same whether it's Yonkers or whether it's the Meadowlands or Indiana or Mohawk or Grand River, anywhere. You got those top drivers and you're not one of them. It's a grind to try and get up in there, and I don't miss that about being a catch driver in the least. But it's good to talk to some of the younger kids. I'll tell you what, I don't know that many young kids that want to be drivers or that are drivers. Not many Hunter Myers are coming up, and I'll tell you, that's the one difference between North America and Australia and New Zealand. I went to speak in Australia and New Zealand 2 years ago. I spoke in both countries about fractional ownership, and I noticed that in the crowd there was a lot of young kids, which I thought was odd. Like, these were like 15, 16-year-old kids.
Right.
I didn't know why the hell they wanted to be there. And it wasn't until I spoke to a couple of them after the second place I spoke, I realized that these were young kids, second-generation horsemen, that wanted to be trainers and drivers in horse racing. And for the life of me, as a 44-year-old man, I can't think of many 20-year-old kids that want to be drivers in this game. And that is one of the biggest problems this industry will face moving forward, is that not only are our owners aging, our drivers and trainers are also. So it's good. We'll give you drives whenever we can. You do a good job.
Sure.
You do a very good job, and we appreciate you driving our horses. So, for everybody out there, as I said, we had a decent day Monday. We had a good day with Mischievous Rose on Tuesday. This is Hunter Myers, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon.